Hey, Mom, how's it going?
I am having a fantastic day. You want to know why today's a fantastic day, Lindsay? Okay, she froze. I'm going to tell you why it's a fantastic day because today we get to talk to one of my favorite people, which is Kevin Painter of Kevin Panter Insurance out of Georgia. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Hey, I am excited to be here. I always enjoy the spontaneous of a good podcast, so I'm excited about it.
All
And she,
right.
and I do want to know, I've listened to your other podcast. So if I hear you saying I'm not one of your favorites now, so you set the bar high.
I thought you were going to say, if you hear her say, what is that thing that you say all the time, Mom?
So here's the thing.
Oh
That's what
my
I thought he
God.
was going to
That is
say.
so funny. She says that all the time.
Hey,
Did you
Kevin,
see
if
for
you
her
ever want
birthday,
to,
I made a whole remix of every time that she said that on the podcast?
We all have our weak points in life, Lindsay. You'll get some of those as you grow up one day. So just
So
hang on.
funny.
So here's the thing. If you ever want to feel humble, just invite your daughter to do a podcast with you and you'll be
Oh,
sure she'll keep you humble the entire
I
time.
know, I know, I know. Well, my
So
kids, my kids know better, so
maybe I could take some pointers from you, Kevin. I haven't quite figured that
good
out
deal.
yet. But all right. So, Kevin, I've known you for, it seems like forever. It's probably not, but it seems like I've known you for a really, really long time. But for if there's a person out there that doesn't know who you are, which I would find very hard to believe, would you talk to me about how insurance found you? Because that's the way it goes. And give me a little bit of your background. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that's insurance was not anywhere in my DNA. Although I have been a natural born salesman since being born. Yeah, I used to sell all kinds of stuff in school. I was always top salesman of everything. I even used to do cinnamon toothpicks to sell. I didn't grow up, my parents didn't have a whole lot to give us but love, and they give us a lot of that. But I used to, anything we could do to generate extra money, I was selling cinnamon toothpicks, selling candy. I was mowing grass at 10, 11, 12 years old, picking blackberries. There's not anything I haven't done. But, I started my plans as y'all kind of know, but just set the record straight. I've been a volunteer firefighter and EMT. I started volunteer as a firefighter in high school, my junior year. So it was a lot of love for that and still do that today at age 57. So, I wasn't intending to go to college. I got talked into going to college by my brother. Which was good advice. He goes, "Hey, you ought to go to college." And I said, "Hey, I'm going to work for the fire department. I've got a, full-time opportunity with a large department." And he goes, "Well, go to college. You'll get a degree and you can promote quicker." And then he said a couple of key words. He said, "The thing you need to go to college, there's girls and beer." So I thought girls and beer in college went good. So I did go that route. And my bachelor's degree is in criminal justice. So while I'm working through, you know, many schools and many failures along the way. Finally, growed up to be an adult and said, "You know what? I've got to get through school." And I started working my junior and senior year in the insurance business. My brother still does to this day, has an independent life and health agency and does investments. So I started working with him on the weekends, through the summers, every time trying to make a living. And when I graduating college, I was finishing up my degree and looking for job opportunities, fire department, whatever. I had a job offer through the GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. They offered me a job at about 18, 19. Well, I had made 21 in insurance working part time. Now, this was in 1990, Lindsay, so you got to understand cost was a little bit less then. But so I had the opportunity to come back home. I did work for my brother for about a year or so after that. Brothers can't work together a lot of times. And I focused, kind of left and went on my own. I started a captive agency for a small multi-line company out of Georgia called Cotton States Insurance. Had great success with them, was with them 15 years. I was their top agent many of those years. But for anyone that's ever come from the captive world, it gets hard to put a round, a square peg in a round hole and vice versa. So I made the decision to leave and go independent. So any more you want to know about that, I can tell you how we wound up to where we're at today. Be happy to do that.
Well, I guess my biggest question is it's not just the agency that you built. I mean, you stayed involved with the fire department, you're in EMS, you are very, very active in your community. But not only that, you created a network. Like, how did that come about? When
Yeah.
did that all
Yep.
play? And I don't even know who the players were that created that. Was that you alone or were there partners? I really don't know.
Yeah. Well, as I was leaving the captive side, going independent exploring options, I found out it's a big world out there, but your local independent agent or local insurance agent don't want to help you, because you're going to be a competitor to him. Now, I'm sure there's a few exceptions to that worldwide, but no one wanted to help. And so I started looking I had some other buddies. So we started looking at different network groups and aggregators and stuff like that. And I was doing tons of research, about 36 hours a day. I was doing research and stuff on that, trying to find out, getting all the information I could. And we looked at a lot of different network groups and stuff, but every one of them, I had just left that captive world where there was a lot of gotchas, a lot of negatives to it, and still are today. But every one of the other networks we looked at, there was just a lot of deal breakers. So we said, you know what? Said let's take the best of the ones that we know and let's make our own. And I got 5 other guys to go in with me. We put some of our own money in. We hired a lady to kind of help us, and we met weekly and monthly in person over the phone, and we just basically built what we wanted over the next year. And then we started, we put that on the paper and started, and it was a whirlwind. Now, of all them, all of them have either left for different reasons, retired, went different directions, sold their agency. There's one other of the original partners with me. He's about to retire. He's old enough to retire. He needs to retire. But I've been really, as any of our members will tell you, and the name of our network, Southeastern Network Agencies. You can look it up. We're primarily in Georgia, but we got some outreach that we're going from there. But I'm still been the driving force of that. We've grown it to 25 locations, and we don't take just anyone. It's not just because you want to get in with us. We're more selective to get a member into our group than a carrier appointment is.
So what year was that you started SNA?
Started that in '07. And the reason, again, further elaborate, the reason we did that, we knew we'd be better together. We needed to learn from each other, and there was some strong points of everyone and some weak points of others. So we really, worked gas and brake, if that makes sense, to how we got all that. And that's who we're today. We're over $100 million in premium. We've got some affiliate. We've kind of joined some affiliate networks for some extra stuff. So it's been a good deal, been a good ride. It's not always been easy, but it's been a good thing.
Yeah, the reason I asked that is there weren't a lot of networks at that time. I mean, I know that you looked at some other networks, but I joined the industry in 2000, and I joined the Ohio Association. Actually, it was the Professional Independent Insurance Agents of Ohio, so PIA of Ohio. They merged and became OIA, but they also had a group of agents that started a network at that time. It was called Market Source. It's now Indium. Same kind of thing. Like they build it by agents for agents because the other ones that were out there, and again, there weren't a ton at the time that exist. It's interesting now, fast forward, how many networks there are and how different they are and how those contracts, as I value agencies, that contract becomes really, really important for lots of different reasons. Like it's crazy. So anyway, it's just
that's a good part of ours. We build ours for ourselves. We're not responsible to some mothership. The only mistake I made is I didn't franchise it for myself, to get rich. We're all equal partners, even though I do a lot more of the work, and they'll tell you that, good, bad, or ugly. But it's done well for us. It's kept us connected a lot better in the industry and helping one another as well.
Yeah, no doubt. So the cool thing is you brought your son into the agency. So you are first generation. This was obviously a scratch agency that you created. Tell me about that experience. It's Austin who's in the industry or in the agency. And I think your daughter plans on coming into the agency as well. Is that true?
Well, I don't know about my daughter. There's opportunities for her if she ever chose to do that. And it's funny that you bring up that topic of children because, I built the agency. I'm not one of those that I want this legacy to go for 100 years. If it does, great. If it doesn't, I'll sell and ride off into the sunset. But, you want the best for your children. And so we started, as my son was in college, both started looking at what he was going to do after the fact. And I finally kind of COVID about his junior year when we were looking at that, I said, son, what you going to do in life? I said, are you interested in the insurance business? And he goes, well, Dad, I think so. He said, I don't know if his comment was, I don't know anything else I had rather do. I said, well, okay. Then if you want to get in the insurance business, there'll be an opportunity for you. Number one thing is you got to work at it. It won't be free. If you ever, come into it, it definitely won't be free, but you'll get a better purchase price than someone else is from that standpoint. But so we kind of, he graduated in May and he started basically, he was already, the effects of COVID was already training and doing some stuff on the weekends. I'd kind of been feeding him a little bit his senior year, letting him go take pictures, kind of work through the summer, really wanting to see, if he liked the business. Because the last thing I would have wanted my children, and I would encourage anyone else, don't let them get in this business if it's not what they want to do. Don't be one of those that think that you want to force them into it because you need perpetuation. That would be a failure. I wanted him, and if my daughter chooses to get in the business because it's something they see a huge opportunity. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, this industry has been awesome for me. Still got a lot of good years left. I think at least 100 more years left. But, it's a great industry, and it's been very good to me, personally and financially and in the community and all that. But, fast forward, he's been in it a year and a half now and is doing incredible. And, if you want to know kind of how I planned him out, I'd be happy to tell you that and where I'm pushing him to from that.
I'd love to hear a little bit about like what he's doing. Is he doing commercial, personal? What's
Yeah.
like, where did he start and where is he
Yeah.
going?
Well, I used a lot of my carrier partners. I wanted him to be the smartest, the best, because, when you bring a family member into it, into the business, obviously there's that threat to the rest of the staff. So I wanted him to be very knowledgeable, very, good at what he's doing. So I have sent him to, I'm just going to tell you in a year and a half, this is what this kid or young man, Austin, has done. He has done all his CISR designation through the National Alliance. He's been to Safeco's new producer school, Cincinnati's new producer personal lines, commercial lines. He's been to Auto Owners new producer school. He's done Hartford personal lines new producer school, commercial lines new producer school. So done that. He's worked, almost finished his AAI through the Big I. So he has been the most educated one. But, and he's taken it like a champion. He's excelled in all of them. Really learned. He's 24. He's still living at home with me, and it is kind of cool, kind of special. We get to talk about stuff at night. A lot of people don't want to take business home with them, and there's times that we don't. But there's a lot of opportunities. He'll say, "Hey, here's what I was thinking on this. What do you think?" And 90% of the time he's right, but when he's wrong, he goes, "Oh, I didn't look at it that way." And I was like, "That's why my name's on the sign."
Yeah.
Learn from my mistakes. I'm one of those. I've made a lot of successes in this business with good staff. Now, I'm not one saying I've done it all myself. I've got a phenomenal staff. I've got, Marsha's been with me for 27 years, and I've got some Gerald and Jessica. I've got a lot of tenured employees, but I've got a lot of young employees. But, staff will make or break you. But Austin has done a tremendous job. At 24, he is really people that work with him think he's 30. He's been in the business a long time, so
Yeah.
it does make me very proud from that standpoint. But I will be the first one to crack a whip on him if there's a mistake. He is an employee of Kevin Panter Insurance. He is the son of Kevin Panter. And I told him, you've got to earn their respect by your knowledge, by your leadership, even though he's not in a leadership position. He kind of is. I bring him in. It's so funny. When I've got a bad decision, and I say I got a bad decision, or let's say a big decision to make on various things. When you're running an agency with 16 employees, there's always something. There's drama, there's financial decisions. I will know pretty much what I'm going to do. I say, hey, here's scenario. What would you do?
Yeah.
And 90% of the time I'm coming to the same conclusion that what I would be doing anyway. But I want him to understand everything's not a bed of roses. And it's okay to fail sometimes. It's what you make of the failure that gets you back to success.
Yeah. What about, so I know I don't specifically work for my mom, but I do a lot of work for her.
Hmm.
One of the things we butt heads on the most is like not you use it using technology, but like how we use technology. Like we
Hmm.
definitely do things in different ways. Do you guys have any of the same like relationship there? Like you kind of butt heads on how you use it?
I wouldn't say butt heads. I've always been a very technology. My staff and anyone in S&A can tell you I am always the guy that's looking down the road. And that's been a lot of the success of our agency and the network. Looking ahead is like, golly, they're really going to be doing that, or well, they're doing it now. Let's try it out. So
Yeah.
I'm usually a couple years ahead of a lot of folks in some of the technology. I'm always asking questions. My friend Chris Paradiso and some of those, Jason Cass. I'm always going to the different shows. That's where I met your mom and a lot of those things and stuff. I want to know what's next, and you have to
Yeah.
explore it. If you wait until everyone else develop it, you're behind the eight ball on it.
Totally.
But technology wise, the good thing of it is now knowing that I have him, I don't have to dig to the very bottom of the hole.
True.
I just kind of have to dig into the hole and say, oh, this is the rabbit hole we want to go down.
Yeah. We
And
need this.
by the way, yeah, by the way, Austin, go get in that rabbit hole, figure it out,
Right. Climb down, buddy.
climb
That
down.
sounds kind
But
of familiar, actually. That doesn't sound all that different. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
hey, I think my team and I like technology. That's what I'll tell you. Now,
hmm,
it doesn't mean that I'm the one doing all of the technology. It means that I'm embracing it to push our organization forward. But if I were the one figuring it out, it's not going to be done as fast and efficient as other people that are far more well skilled in that area. I will tell you that.
well, that's the strength of a good leader is knowing where your weaknesses are and where someone else's strengths are, and letting them do that. I'd love to get people to get the ball and run with it. Like I said, point you in that direction. But technology in this business, I've been in it a long time. If you are not embracing technology, you are way behind the game. And if you're really sitting there waiting on someone else to figure it out, I hear a lot of people, well, I'm going to wait a year and let someone else figure it all out. Well, you know what? You may get left behind in that ordeal. That's, I look at a lot of stuff.
So you've said a couple times that you've made failures. I'm interested in that actually. What if as you look back on your career, does any one failure stand out in something that because here's the thing, I think you learn, I did it. Did you hear it? I think you
Here's the
learn a
thing.
lot more from failure than you do from success. So is there any failure that stands out that you said it was a turning point for the agency or it's something that really pushed you forward?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, I've been a product of a lot of, I guess, some failures. That's what has made me successful. And some of those have been maybe trusting people who I shouldn't have trusted. So without mentioning names, I won't even go there. But you got to know who has your best interest in it. And so that's, take that failure, don't look at it and dwell over it as
Yeah.
golly, they done this to me or this situation happened. I think of that at carriers a lot of times. You sitting there like, God, I wish I would not have contracted with them or appointed with them. But you learn something from all your failures and you'll continue to go in the right direction in this business. So
Yeah, absolutely. So if part of the decision as an agency owner is hiring the right people. It's partnering with the right people, creating the partnerships like S&A. Like there's all kinds of decisions. You got to think of who's my ideal customer, who are, am I going to have a niche or am I going to be a generalist? Am I going to, focus in my county? Am I going to actually sell nationwide? Like, what am I going to do? And another huge area investing in technology and the right technology inside your agency. I know what you say to be true, that you have definitely invested in technology to move your agency forward. But I think you've also kept a small town feel to your agency, which is kind of a unique thing. You know what I mean? I would love to hear from your perspective. What is the tech stack and what are the things it doesn't just have to be technology, but what are the things that make Kevin Panter Insurance run well and that you could not run your agency without?
I definitely want to hit on that top. I'm going to back up a little bit and just tell you, I think the success, what's made success is everyone in this community knows we're invested in this community. Now I hear people, oh, they may not can say this on a podcast, but they BS a lot of times about being involved in their community. Kevin Panter Insurance and Kevin Panter's invested. I mean, I spend a lot of times fire and EMS side, I'm past chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm still on the Chamber of Commerce board. I am attending every event. I'm on my church, a lot of committees at church. And then I push my staff into those areas as well. Austin's in several different things. We do a lot for the sports. We'll go work the concession stand. We do a lot in our community. We're very visible, and people, after 30 something years, it's so good to hear people say, you know what, you do so much in the community. And that's why we want to give you the opportunity to trust you for insurance. We hear that a lot. Now, maybe I didn't the first 10 years. You're not always going to see the fruits of that to come to fruition early on, but man, we hear it all the time now. And so community has been good. I've never looked back on investing in my community and helping that child even behind the scene, or helping that organization behind the scene. It ain't always about getting the award or something for it, but certainly, we know we're in the right direction helping on that. So come back in and let's ask me that question again. Let me get my brain rethinking about the technology.
So what I said was, and you've managed to make your agency tech forward, but still made it a community agency. What are those tools or those things that you just couldn't run your agency without? Like, those are the things that are just deal breakers. You absolutely need to have them.
Yep. Well, my staff, every time I would go to a convention or a trade show, they come back there. It's like, oh my God, what is he coming back with now? The latest, greatest and stuff. Or is that? Is there a new shiny object about to appear? But we have, again, I recognized we've got to be the best. And the way we do business in our agency is totally different than all the other agencies in our community. That's why we're the number one agency in our community, and everyone else is second, third, and on down the line. But, a lot of technology, I was one of the early adapters to comparative rating. I mean, we've been involved, from pretty much day one. When I went from captive to independent, which was in '07. Now Lindsay, you probably wasn't even born then, but your mom that was right as she was about to get in the business. Going paperless was just kind of big agencies. We went paperless from the start. I got rid of all the filing cabinets. You won't find but a couple of filing cabinets in our office. So we were early adapter of that. And from that standpoint, but I think back to the comparative raters like that. Gosh, we've been on comparative raters for 13, 14 years from that standpoint. Now they've advanced a lot. The new technologies now, I go to these shows and or some S&A members, and they'll say, we're trying to do this, or they've sent me their deck pages. I said, what do you mean they sent you your deck pages? You didn't automation wise get that? What do you mean? Well, I've been using, and I'll just mention a vendor, but there's others out there. Canopy Connect. I've been using Canopy Connect for about 3 years. As soon as they first come out, I looked at them and another one and really liked them, and they've grown and they've really advanced. I don't even know how we did without those. And my staff really initially like, oh, is this going to be a fad and Kevin's going to get us away from this? We still want to have the client bring in their deck pages or fax them to us or email them to us. No, we better be getting those Canopy Connect, because not only is it good for the agency, it's good for the insured. It makes it easier for them. But we've been using Gravity forms. We can start getting that information. In this fast-paced world of technology and carriers developing, if you're not using all your technology strengths, you're losing money. And yeah, some of those are investments. A lot of these things I'll pay $200 or $300 a month, but man, if it saves us 1 hour a day, do the multiples on it. And we're a more professional agency in it and helping our clients. We can help more clients in a short amount of time. You know, I do want to tell you my community, where I live, I'm in North Georgia, which is about an hour and a half north of Atlanta in the mountains of North Georgia. The Appalachian Trail starts in our county. Our whole population of our whole county is only about 27,000, the whole county, not city, but county. Now, that can be a very weekends. We're a tourist town now, so we get, sometimes 40, 50,000. But day in, our clients, we've got 27 people is all we got in our county. So we rule the county from that standpoint. And, I'm building another office in another neighboring town, very similar to Blue Ridge, a little town called LJ and stuff. And we're not recreating the wheel. We're using the same plan that made Kevin Panter Insurance and Blue Ridge successful. We're going to make it, my builder at my new location, he goes, "Why are you building such a big building?" I said, "Because we're going to fill that building up. And if you don't believe in yourself, then you shouldn't be doing it,
Amen to that.
But technology, I've got, like I said, my main office person that's been with me for 27 years, Marcia, she was not one of the early adapters to technology. She hated it, still hates it to this day. But she gives, me enough leeway to, when I finally say, "Marcia, you've got to be using it. It's going to make us better." She knows where we're at. And it's so funny seeing them finally adapt to some of those things when they kind of fought against you.
What advice would you give to someone like me or someone like Austin who is new in the industry and just starting out as they look at 20 plus years in advance?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you one of the biggest successes of mine is the involvement that I have in the associations, in the networks. I am constantly going to, I'm right now on the Big I board of Georgia and working in some different positions within you'll be hearing more about that later, but different positions within the Big I. Obviously, Southeastern Network Agencies, our chamber, be involved. People, learn, listen. I'm sitting here with these earbuds in. I'm 57 years old. Not a lot of people even think about that at 57. But, going to these, if I go to these shows and I just learn one or two things that help us make our processes better, that is a huge success. But you've got to be involved. If you, stay there stuck in the mud in your own community and don't get out. I learned from, this weekend I was in Asheville, North Carolina at a meeting. I was there with about 30 other different agents, older than me, younger than me, and I can run with all them. Don't let them, that age thing. But I learned from these new generation of agents, golly, we need to be doing that. We need to be looking at that. And they're asking me, "Kevin, how did you get here?" They're learning from me. So my point of it is get very active involved in your associations, in your organizations. Surround yourself with good and bad people. I don't say surround yourself with bad people, but you'll learn some of your best lessons from bad ones versus even some of the good ones. But stay involved and don't. I got my CIC. I would say one of my biggest, if I had to look back at one success, and Dr. Holt, you probably ought to send me a free lunch or a free ice cream. My biggest success would certainly be getting my CIC designation. When I was leaving the captive world and going independent, I knew I had to be better in commercial, and that was a very weak point. I went and got my whole CIC designation program in about 6.5 months.
Ooh, that's tough.
And
That's super tough.
That was super tough. And look, today you can do it virtually. Virtual wasn't even invented then in 06 and 07, but I literally got it in 6.5, 7 months. And I even failed one class and had to retake it. I wasn't happy about that, but I learned more in the business taking that program, and I made connections because when you get that, to me, that CIC designation, it's very well looked on in the industry. People know and trust, he's invested in himself. So we want to partner and invest and ride along with him. And
yeah, I would agree. Here's the thing. You said earlier that when you first started out captive to independent, that there weren't people there going to help you. And I will tell you that one of the things that I love about this industry is the willingness for people to share and the willingness for people to open up and like the fact that you came on this podcast and you said, you know what, Canopy Connect, Raiders, use your technology. I mean, you're not afraid to share
Mm-mm.
because here's the reality is there's plenty of business and you want to elevate the industry. You want to elevate the
Absolutely.
independent insurance agency system. So I love that there's this willingness to share and
Yeah.
learn from each other. I just think the way Lindsay's generation is going to connect will be different than the way that our generation
Well,
connected.
look, we're connecting today by video. We would have
Right.
never, we'd had to figure out some way to come meet to do this
That's
five,
right.
6 years
Right.
ago from that standpoint. And we're sitting here doing it today, and I'll be back working a little bit, and y'all will be too. So
Yeah.
you've got to adapt and run along with it. But there is no, there is no better industry, in my opinion. I hope, we've got to keep getting young folks like Lindsay and the Austins of the world into this. And if they just take a peek at our industry and see, our industry is what I talk to young group kids and different folks all the time. I say, our business is good when it's bad, and our business is good when it's good. May not ever be great, although I think it is, but
Yeah.
we are always, even in good times and bad times, we're flowing right along.
I would
We've
agree.
got a product. We've got a product that everyone needs. And if you do it the right way and you show people, that's how we get our business. I don't care what the price of the product is. I tell people, we're selling you a solution for financial stability, if something happens.
Mhm.
That's right. That's right.
I
Well,
think it's
Kevin,
really
thank you so much
special.
for coming on. Oh, go ahead.
Well,
Oh,
one last thing. One last thing I want to talk about. So you said that you're a volunteer fighter and EMT. So what came first, the insurance or the firefighter and
oh,
EMT?
firefighting into. I'm sitting right here, still got my pager. I still carry a pager. Of course, today we're so high tech we get them by text message too. So if I'm in a meeting, I can cut my pager off and look there. But no, I started firefighting when I was a junior in high school. Love
Wow.
that. Still love it today. Anyone that's ever done that, you get it in your blood and it don't go away. But I have a lot of people that say, Kevin, you do that. I know you stay out a lot of hours of the night, and that just shows your love for people. Because when I first started firefighting, we would get $25 per fire. But there's a kick to that. If there's 25 people that showed up, we all got $1. We divided 25 bucks. So
Oh,
you certainly, I've seen a lot, been able to help a lot of people. I've been involved in saving a lot of lives. Unfortunately, there's tragedies along the way, and I've been involved in a lot of those tragedies. But, it takes a special person to do what firefighters and EMTs and anyone. My degree's in criminal justice, same way with, I got stopped over the weekend by a police officer. He said I was speeding a bit. I really wasn't, but I did. I was nice to him. I said, hey, be careful. I appreciate what you're doing. And I truly meant it. A lot of people, I wasn't trying to suck up to him. I didn't think I was going to get a ticket anyway. And I didn't. But public
That's good
service,
stuff.
it takes a special person. But, it's been a love I've had, and it shows in my community, and it's helped a lot in my business.
Yeah.
good. That's very interesting. I feel like you don't hear a lot about volunteer firefighter. Maybe it's just more common than I in my area, but I don't hear about it a lot. So very interesting.
Yeah, it's one of the lost things. A lot of people, you know, they don't have time to do volunteer things in their community. So the people that do, pat them on the back. They all deserve it
Absolutely.
because they're doing it
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord, the training that we have to do now. I have to do all my fire department training, my EMT training, my insurance training. I'm
Right.
I'm an educated idiot sometimes. So
Oh,
Oh,
Kevin,
that's
you are
funny.
so much fun. Oh, my Lord. So at some point, I got to tell you, not now, but I will tell you about one of the times that I got pulled over by a police officer and I ended up giving him advice rather than him giving me advice, which is kind of hilarious. So at some
yep,
point, I'll tell you that story, but I agree with you. I think that we have to appreciate those people that put themselves in harm's way, that volunteer, that share, that help us all be better and all be safe without question. So
good deal.
anyway, I appreciate you coming on. I could talk to you for hours. You know that. I think we've actually done that before. So I hope that we have you on the podcast again in the future. And if someone wants to reach out to you, Kevin, maybe you said something today that they want to know more about, or they are thinking about bringing their children into the agency and they just want to pick your brain. How do they reach out? How do they reach you?
Hey, I'm easy to find. The good old web, go to Kevin Panter Insurance, and that's Panter. Kevin Panter is really the way it's pronounced, but we say Painter. But you can go to my website, get to our office, track me down there. I love helping people in the industry because I know I'm not going to be here a whole lot longer. So I do want to, keep advancing this industry and helping people and would love to help. But hey, thank y'all for doing this. I appreciate giving me the opportunity to share. Hopefully something I've said today spark someone or give them a thought. But don't think that old dogs can't do new tricks, because we can learn every day.
Amen to that, my friend. Amen. All right.
Don't underestimate your mom. Don't underestimate mom. She's a smart lady.
I would never underestimate her, but someone's got to joke around with her. Or she'll become too serious for all of us all. She'll just spreadsheet out, and then that's not good for anyone.
Good deal.
All right. Take it easy, Kevin.
Thank you.